clock is ticking for Republicans to negotiate seriously with Democrats to rein in ICE and end the violence. On Saturday, we sent Republicans in the White House a detailed proposal, legislative text, for how Congress can put common-sense guardrails on ICE that Americans are demanding and that Americans deserve. We got the Republican response last night, but it included neither details nor legislative text. The initial Republican response is incomplete and insufficient. It fails to address America's concerns about ICE's lawless conduct. We need to see more from the Republicans, and soon. There's no time to waste. While we await real details in the real text, Democrats will keep pushing. Hey, yeah. It's a new group each time. Senator Markey, move your conversation somewhere else. At least he'll, he's on our side. Okay. We must keep pushing for common sense reforms. They are ending the roving patrols and secret police, a code of conduct. Our proposal simply holds ICE agents. It's such a simple thing. It's hard to believe they're resisting. We simply hold ICE agents to the same standards Americans expect from their local police department from coast to coast. To be clear, these guardrails on ICE must apply across the board, including funding for Republicans' so-called big, beautiful bill. Our reforms must apply to all ICE operations. It would be ridiculous to say some ICE agents have to meet some standards but others don't because of where the funding came from, and we never even know where the funding would come from. Democrats proudly support law enforcement, but what ICE is doing isn't law and order, it's chaos, plain and simple. Today, the heads of ICE, Border Patrol, and other enforcement agencies testified in the House for the first time since the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. However, today, the head of ICE refused to answer if Good and Preddy deserved to die. Refused to answer. And when asked if he would commit to unmasking ICE agents so they can be identified, he had a simple answer: no. Most Americans would be aghast that we should have secret police, unidentified police, roaming through our neighborhoods. He also admitted that even after their body camera announcement, almost 80% of agents still aren't wearing cameras. That's pathetic. Today's testimony made one thing very clear. For all the administration's talk of lowering the temperature, little meaningful change has happened throughout the country. Thousands of agents are still roaming the streets. People are still being assaulted by federal law enforcement. It's only a matter of time before someone else gets seriously hurt or worse. The only real solution is common sense bipartisan resolution. Senate Democrats are ready. We're still waiting on Republicans to deliver real results. Senator Cortez Masto.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Schumer. It's really clear. You can just spend any time in your community. The American people have made it clear they want accountability for what they are seeing happening, not only on their TVs, but in their communities. This colossal abuse of power, which we are seeing right now from immigration agents who are brutalizing our communities. That's exactly what Democrats are asking for. But unfortunately, our Republican colleagues are refusing to work with us on common sense solutions here. Now, I was Attorney General for 8 years in Nevada. I worked as a prosecutor right here in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. I have been working with law enforcement my entire career. Local police officers are trained in de-escalation. They don't wear masks. They know how to do their jobs and keep their community safe while gaining the trust of the community. And they are beholden to the Constitution, just like everyone else. What we're asking is not radical. We want federal law enforcement to be held to the same reasonable standards as state and local law enforcement. That means ending those roving patrols that are detaining U.S. citizens and law-abiding immigrants based on the way they look. Federal agents shouldn't be violating the Fourth Amendment rights and going into someone's home without a judicial warrant. Accountability including congressional oversight, no masks, clear badge numbers, body cameras. This is where we need to be. And let me just be very clear. You don't just say we're going to give people body cameras and throw it off to people. If you want to know how to handle body cameras from local law enforcement, state police, come to my state. Come to my state. In 2017, 2018, we passed laws. But you know what we also did? We mandated policies and procedures on how they use those body cameras. Because there are so many provisions and standards that go along with the use of these body cameras, the retaining of the videos, and yes, the right of the press to access some of this information. That's all we're asking the federal law enforcement to do the same thing. Nothing more, nothing less, that our state and local law enforcement are doing. And finally, let me just say this. The American people understand this. When ICE is saying we're going to go after the worst of the worst in your community, right? That we are only going after violent criminals. Well, of course, I think we all understand that. We don't want violent criminals in our community. But they're doing more than that. They're going after U.S. citizens. They're going after non-violent immigrants, families, and children. That's what we're seeing brutalizing our communities. And the American people, they're saying enough. And so what we are asking our colleagues in the White House to work with us. It's common sense. Work with us. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that. So I will say this. I am not going to support a CR. If my Republican colleagues can't come to the table and work with us right now and get this done, by the way, if they would just work with us, we don't need another CR. But because I don't see good faith in them working with us, which they should be willing to do, the White House, that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking at this point in time. So I thank Leader Schumer. I thank all of my colleagues, everybody, and I think, most importantly, so many across this country, the American public who are exercising their First Amendment rights to really call out what we are seeing in our communities and demanding that change from this administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Tim.
Hey, everyone. You're going to hear me say a lot of what Catherine just said about local law enforcement. But if you hear it from Nevada and you hear it from Virginia, you're going to hear it from 50 states. I was a mayor, as you know, Ron, you covered me. I had a city police force and a sheriff's office. I was a governor with the state police force and a Capitol Police, as well as 134 sheriff's offices and police forces. And all we are asking in the pillars that Chuck has described, in the roving patrols, uniform standards, and in secret policing, are basic SOP for local law enforcement agencies virtually everywhere. I was an elected official at the local level at a very challenging time. When I came into City Council in Richmond in 1994, we had the second highest per capita homicide rate in the United States. So dealing with violent crime is something that I know about, and we successfully brought down violent crime dramatically. We didn't do it by breaking people's windows. We didn't do it by kicking people's doors down. We didn't do it by flooding the zone with masked agents. We didn't do it by shooting innocent people. We didn't do it by detaining children or shipping American citizens into jails and prisons who God knows where. We didn't do that. We did it by building relations within the community where they could have some more trust in law enforcement. In this situation, you're dealing with a group of people. The stats show that the arrests that have been done by federal law enforcement agents, less than 1 in 7 of the arrests are for people with any charge or conviction of any crime of violence. So if we can do battle against tough homicide rates and tough violent crime without masks and breaking people's windows and kicking their doors down, you can do immigration enforcement the right way, not the wrong way. And that's why I so strongly support these basic pillars. I mean, why should federal law enforcement agents be acting at a standard lower than the Ashland Town Police, or the Richmond Sheriff's Department? Americans and Virginians have an expectation of more, and that's all we've asked our Republican colleagues to agree to. And they ought to do it for the good of the country and for the good of their own constituencies. Chuck.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, my colleagues.
Go
ahead.
Are the negotiations at all close enough to getting somewhere that you could support a 2-week CR or 3-week CR by the end of this week?
There's no reason we can't get this done by Thursday. We have sent them legislative language.
So, Senator
Yes.
Schumer,
What was in the White House counter proposal, and what made it incomplete and insufficient?
Look, the bottom line is it was incomplete and insufficient. We need legislative language that will rein in ICE and end the violence. Their proposal didn't come close to doing that.
Leader Schumer, so just to be clear, are you ruling out any CR at all on DHS?
There's no reason we can't get it done by Thursday. Yes, go ahead. I'm not negotiating in public, as you know what we believe in. Okay? Yes.
On the Epstein files, it seems that members from both sides are very disappointed by what the Department of Justice has released. These aren't completely unredacted. At what point would you use some sort of a legislative tool to say, look, this is not sufficient based on what was passed some months ago to get to this?
Well, I think what they're doing is not sufficient now. I think there are lots of Democrats that would want to use legislative tools. Our Republican colleagues voted, a month and a half ago, to release everything. It hasn't happened. They ought to be standing with us now to compel the administration to release everything.
What does that legislative tool look like?